Hello, so I am at a cafe in Mexico and I have this beautiful tan to go along with it. So I want to talk today about how our sexuality, especially as women, I realize I want to come here and sit in this cafe because I am in Mexico for some work and I need to just be able to chill and relax and enjoy for a bit here. But the disincentive to sit here in a public place would be feeling like I would get a lot of attention or there are a lot of people around, and I try to find like a deserted kind of place where there are no people sort of like far away. But the point being that sometimes, like especially as women, because our beauty, thank you, ooh, lemonade, because our beauty and our sexuality is something that is given so much importance. Uh, Initially, like when I was a teenager, I was really excited about these things.
Hola. Buenos días. ¿Gustan acá de este lado? ¿Del aire?
But as we get older, um, we realize like if you've been sexually abused, your sexuality is the reason that you've gotten unwanted attention in the workplace, where you've been told that you got this job because you look a certain way rather than your talents, your skills, your abilities. And that has become the reason why you feel like you get all this unwanted male attention. And the animal within you has been instigated by people physically assaulting you, harassing you, trying to touch you, passing comments on you based on your looks and your sexuality. And then that in itself becomes something you start to detest, even though sometimes you're aware of its benefits to get into a club, for instance, or to, maybe you can charm your way through some situations. But other times it's used against you and in a way that people don't realize when they say, oh, you're a beautiful girl, or you look good, and that gets you places in life. But that sexuality in itself becomes like something that is a part of you, but you want to dissociate from. So I have dissociated from it by not wearing makeup all the time like I used to, by sort of like if someone tells me I'm pretty or hot, I just feel really, really uncomfortable because it has become this thing that people see and they don't see me, and it's like this kind of distraction, and it's also the reason why I feel like I've gotten this unwanted attention over the years. Like a recent example would be last week where I went to this hotel in San Antonio and I was staying there, and this person who had a room above my room, he saw me and I just said hi to him, and then he got really, really, really drunk and progressively drunk throughout the night. And then in the middle of the night he kept knocking at my freaking door. And I told the reception people that this is happening. And they said they would sort it out, they would try to deal with it. So this lemonade is really good. So that your sexuality becomes as a woman, it's like this poem I read where it's I met this guy and I wanted to tell him about me, and then eventually I realized he doesn't really give a damn as long as he can get with me. So it becomes like this deadening feeling inside that is associated with it, that especially when your whole life you want some kind of connection and positive, a positive experience, and initially you may have learned that your aesthetic appeal gets you a lot of attention, a lot of whatever, like privilege, but then later you realize that is very like superficial, and that creates a lot of animosity and friction within you, because at one point you have realized that this is like an asset that is considered something that the world values, and everyone uses everything they have, whether it's money, privilege, education. If you, as in, if you're born with like 5 mansions and a yacht, if you have a yacht, you want to use that, but over time you realize that this is like a depreciating asset, of course, with diminishing returns over time, but also that it is very superficial. People say they want to marry you, they love you, but they don't really know you. It's just because they find you attractive, and that has swayed their hormones and their emotions to behave in a certain way, whether to deceive you or whether to whether to deceive you or to just like, because they're just enamored by you in the moment. Either ways, it's just very it doesn't make you happy, it makes you really sad, because it's like they want the packaging, the shiny, glittery packaging, but they don't really care about what's inside, the contents, the real you, the real personality, your experiences, your struggle, everything about you. That doesn't matter. And that is very like saddening, disconcerting, and over time those experiences add up. It becomes like your sexuality is the basis for you to get harassed, exploited, discriminated against, because the world sees you as a certain way because of the way you look, the way you are. So they see you as not being capable of a lot of things that someone who has white male privilege, for instance, would be. But then they also associate all these other things with you. Like I was at this legal internship at the public defender's office in Arizona, and this guy, like, we traveled to Mexico with like a few, like all the interns. There was like three guys and me, and I just got off at the end and I was like sipping some like soda at this while they got gas, and then this guy like called out to me like, "Oh, you're working the street corner, your real job." I was like so fucking demeaning. I do not have words. So the experiences like these, as they add up over the time, they create like a real disincentive in you. Like your sexuality becomes something you start dissociating from. So you don't want to look beautiful. You want to be accepted the way you are, and that has been my experience, where I want someone to see other aspects of me, my compassion, my intelligence, not that per se that they can't look beyond those looks, and that's what my experience has been. So I want to dissociate from that, because I almost see it as a way, as a reason for more street harassment, for more like, and somewhere or the other you blame your abuse to that it is associated with that as well, even though it may not be. But because you blame yourself for it, you associate that attraction to be a part of it as well. And it just becomes too much. It becomes something that becomes like unpleasant, annoying, an inconvenience. It's like all the tension. It's like being micro-examined all the time, and it's exhausting. So other examples of how you dissociate from it. Like, I've been in like modeling and shoots and ramps, like catwalks, and eventually it just felt like it's objectifying and it's just putting you on display, and it's just like exhausting. It just reminds you of being reduced to this sex object, which everything in this world reminds you of being women, almost. And then it just becomes disgusting and gross and not fun. And sometimes when you like someone and you meet them and they're talking to you, and they say something like, oh, you have like a great ass, for instance, and you were trying to get to know this person and trying to take them seriously, and you felt like they took you seriously, but then all of a sudden you're just like nauseated, fuck this guy. And once I was like, I went out on a Saturday night with some people and their friends, and then I thought I was chilling with these people, and then I was like really excited, and I was like in my like excited, like slightly inebriated self at like 2 a.m. in the morning, and then all of a sudden this guy was like, can I kiss you? And I was just like, it just made me feel so physically revolted that I got like really, really sick afterwards, like immediately because of that. Like I started going off on this tangent that really like made me feel really disgusted with the whole scenario. Because it's like one of my friends said, like you would have like a real problem because you get along with guys, but guys don't see you as friends, which has been historically difficult, and women don't particularly like you because they see you as competition, even like the closest friends I've had. So because that thing is such a big thing in our society, where like it has become like something that has caused me a significant amount of pain and turmoil over the years, because like a lot of reasons, some of which I just mentioned. So it just becomes something you don't want to associate with all the time. Sometimes, like, yeah, when you're out, like, socially, maybe, yeah, you do, of course, definitely. But other times it just becomes something you don't want to really acknowledge or associate with, because it reminds you of all these painful experiences that have been attached to it in the past. And that is not the best feeling. Especially if you've had a history of childhood sexual abuse, it becomes something like you're very not comfortable with, and the way sexuality is repressed in the societies we live in, like it's hypersexual, but no one wants to talk about the real things, the real experiences. It just becomes something like people feel weird about, like their bodies. You can project a lot of confidence, but it's not like you're comfortable with your body if your body has been abused and violated by someone not treating it and you not being able to protect and defend yourself in that moment and not realizing what is happening. So later it just becomes like very, very difficult to deal with. Because of that, you may just prefer like being on your own. Because I started feeling like I couldn't trust my female friends, because as soon as like a hot guy would come into the general radius vicinity, they would just like often turn on me, and all of a sudden, from being like having a normal conversation, they would start attacking me and criticizing me, much like narcissists do. And I can't blame them because the world sets us up to be hyper competitive. If you're men competing for female attention, or if you're women competing for male attention, but more so if you're women competing for male attention. So I do quite like this restaurant. I think that's what it's called. So yeah, I have been wanting to make this video for a while now. So here it is. What better place to make it than Mexico? So everyone thinks I am Spanish, Mexican here, like I speak Spanish. And they're like, where are you from? Or they try speaking to me in Spanish and they ask me. So it's kind of interesting. But yeah, of course, border control also thinks that same way, so I have to like prove to them that you can be like American and not have to be white. And then when I ask them, like, they're like, is this your car? I'm like, no, it's my uncle's car. And of course they wouldn't get the sarcasm. And of course, like, I don't really want to deal with, how authority figures do not like people who do stuff like that. And their bigger, larger than life egos can get bruised really fast. So, I don't really do very well with that kind of racial profiling, but I guess that's part of being in this part of the world, or any part of the world, to be precise. So my lemonade is almost done, and I will take off. Also, take a look at the travel channel I will be making very soon. So, ta-ta, bye-bye. I am still Sensei, and I create cosmic flow that flings open the doors of your perception. Ta-ta, bye-bye.